reflection on my my junior season at Tates Creek High School for soccer. We usually start in June for preseason, and then we go until August, and in August we begin our games. We usually spend about 8 hours per week in preseason. First I'm going to start talking about what we do in preseason. Preseason is basically run by our captains, so that's the seniors on the team, and they kind of call practices, and we come and we figure out what we need to do. We kind of just have some small-sided games, and we work on our individual skills and try to get to know each other more, so that when it comes time for the actual season to begin, we know each other well, and we kind of know each other's strengths and weaknesses. So what we hope to learn in preseason is, again, the ideas of our strengths and weaknesses and the things we need to work on, and then the difficulties that we encounter during our preseason have to do with getting to know each other and how people's personalities mesh, and then sometimes there's disputes and there's issues with people, and we kind of have to get those figured out. And then sometimes there's younger girls that really don't know much about soccer, and so the older girls kind of have to come in and show them the way and teach them the things that they need to learn in order to be able to contribute to the team. During the preseason, the things that I learned about myself are basically what I need to work on, and that's what you do during preseason, is you work on those things so that when it comes time for the actual season to begin, you don't have any issues and you can play to the best of your abilities during the regular season. The things that I learned about my teammates had to do with their strengths and weaknesses, and how I myself could add to their performance to make them better as well. I developed my soccer skills and my skills of being a leader, because as a junior you have to start being a leader, because when you become a senior you have to actually lead the team, so you have to watch those seniors that are leading, and you have to learn how to contribute to the team yourself. As far as this activity contributing to our, as a worldwide type thing, or just to other people in general, this activity doesn't exactly benefit very many people besides our community, because it's our high school, and people just come to watch to see different people play soccer, obviously, and it's really like a base for just like a support base for the community. If I were to change this activity, I don't think I would, because even though we didn't really have high expectations for our 2012 season, we just really wanted to go out and do everything that we could to be the best examples for the younger kids on the team and for the community. As far as learner outcomes go, I think that we were able to work collaboratively with others. Being on a team, you have to work with your team, and you have to work with your coaches, and you have to work with all the trainers that you have in order to get to your final outcome. And in preseason, that's what it's all about, is learning about those strengths and weaknesses of your team. And I think that we had to learn perseverance and commitment, because even though this was the beginning of the season, starting here is where you learn what you have to do, and you have to learn if you can persevere and if you can have that commitment to the team, because it is a big commitment. We developed new skills, and in the form of learning the things that you can do yourself and the things that you need to work on. And then I had to learn about my own personal strengths, because I had to learn how I could contribute to the team and how I could improve myself to help our team reach our goal of getting as far as we could in the postseason. Thank you, and preseason. Okay, so this is my reflection for during this 2012 season. During this season, we hoped to obviously win as many games as possible, but we wanted to really improve as a team and find out how well we could do as a team with the players that we have, and I really wanted to improve my abilities as a player, and I wanted to, because at this point, this is when I moved to a new position. I was placed in the back line of my high school team. I had been playing on the outside, which is more of a forward position where I would score goals, and I got placed in the back where I don't really score very many goals, and I had to learn a whole new position, which was very difficult, but at the same time it was fun because I got to expand my horizons as a soccer player. So difficulties that were encountered. This is the season, again, like I said, I had to change positions, so that was difficult. But other than that, we really didn't have that many difficulties other than just playing in games and having to defeat opponents that we knew were extremely talented, and we had to figure out the ways to beat them. As a soccer player, I hoped to learn how well we could play as a team, and then I wanted to learn how much farther I could take myself as a player, and I wanted to figure out how much more of a leader I could be, because in the new position that I was placed in, I needed to be more of a leader than where I had been playing, because I could see the field more than most of the other players on the team, so I needed to talk a lot, and I had to have good communication with my teammates. As far as how the activity benefited other people, just as preseason, this is part of this season that everyone comes and watches us play. We really want to provide something for like a good team that our community can believe in and follow, so that they can enjoy coming to our games. And if I were to change anything as far as this season went, there wasn't much other than we did really well. We were really excited about how we did. We didn't lose any games that season, which was a really big accomplishment for us. And then we had a couple of ties, so if I had to say change anything, take away those ties and make it a perfect season. But that's really difficult to do because there are so many good teams that we have to play. And so other than that, I really wouldn't change anything because we developed as a team very well. As far as learner outcomes go, I would have to say that it was an increased awareness of our personal strengths and areas for growth. We had to figure out what we needed to do in order to continue winning and to figure out how well we could work as a team. Along with that, we had to work collaboratively with others because, again, it's a team effort to win, so we had to learn each other's strengths and weaknesses in order to succeed. We had to show perseverance and commitment because we had to be at every practice. We had practices every day after school, unless we have games that we have to travel for, or even if they're just in town, it's still about 3 hours of commitment that you have to put towards that. And then developing new skills. We had to develop all of our skills in order for us to continue doing as well as we could for the season. Thank you. That's my mid-season. This is my CAS reflection for the 2012 Tates Creek High School postseason. Postseason is basically where you have all of your final games. This is where after the regular season has taken place, you go to your district tournament, and that tournament seats you for the regional tournament, which then seats you for the state tournament if you are lucky enough to make it that far. So what kind of happens in this? We went into it hoping that we could make a deep run into postseason. We didn't really expect to do that much, but we wanted to do like as much as we could possibly do. I hoped that I would be able to contribute to the team and do the best that I could. And since like the position that I played was defensive, I wanted to try to keep shutouts, and I didn't want the other team to score. And so I felt like we were very successful, and personally, I was successful. We won all of our games in postseason except for one, and luckily that one didn't take us out. Whereas if we had lost any other games, we would have been out of the tournament. I was successful in keeping a lot of goals out along with the rest of the team, and we were successful because in the end we actually won the state, which is really exciting, and it's a really good thing for our community because it created a lot of support, and there were so many people who came to our games, and our fans and family and just our staff and everything at school. It really created something for everyone to believe in, and that was great. As far as my abilities and attitudes that I developed, I really feel like I learned how to perform under pressure, because going into it, we had never been in this type of situation where if you lose this game, you don't win state. If you win, you win state. So it's a lot of pressure put on you, and you have to learn how to do your best and to help everyone else as well, but while having so much pressure on you. As far as changing this, really there isn't much I would change because we got the best possible outcome. However, the only thing that I would change would be that one game that we did lose, because it was against a pretty big rival, and it would have been great to win that game. But again, even though we did win it, or even though we did lose it, it didn't hurt us that much. So as far as the learner outcomes go, this definitely increased awareness of personal strengths and areas for growth, because, like I said, we learned a lot about how to perform under pressure, and that was something that none of us had ever really had to experience before, and that I had personally never had to experience before. We had to work collaboratively with others, because in order to go as far as we did and to achieve the things that we did, we had to work together, and we had to work off of everyone else's strengths and weaknesses in order for us to get the best possible result. We had to show perseverance and commitment, because it's such a long season when you get so far into postseason that everyone has to be committed. You have to eat right. You have to work out outside of the games, and all of the commitment to the training and all of the games and the time it took to get to the games. And it's just a lot of commitment. And then yeah, all right, that is it. This is my CAS reflection for my Community Action Council service hours in the fall of 2012. I volunteered at the Community Action Council in Lexington, Kentucky, and we were volunteering to place letters in envelopes for this poverty forum, and they needed some help doing it because they had to send out thousands of letters, so we had to go and help. Well, we went to go and help. And what I hoped to learn about this was really not from what I was doing, but from what the person who was supervising it, the organization lady, she was there, and she was telling us all about what they do at the poverty forums, which I never really knew what was going on there. And basically they do a lot of different things to help the people who are in poverty in Lexington, Kentucky. So I felt like I was really successful with that, because in the 8 hours that I was there stuffing the envelopes, she gave us a lot of really cool explanations and about things that they do there at the Community Action Council as well, not just with the poverty forum. Difficulties that I encountered basically would really just be that it was 8 hours of stuffing envelopes. It's pretty tedious, and so it was kind of hard just to want to keep doing it. As far as the people that helped, I went with a couple of my friends from IB, and we did this together. And then the lady who was in charge, she was really helpful. And then this activity benefited other people because it got the word out about the poverty forum, and if we hadn't sent those letters out, the majority of people would not have known about it, and it wouldn't have helped as many people as it did in Lexington, Kentucky. If I were to change this, there wouldn't really be anything that I would do. I feel like we did a really good job, and it really helped the Community Action Council. So as far as learner outcomes go, I would say that I had to work collaboratively with others, because we had to all work together to get thousands and thousands of letters put into those envelopes to send. And we kind of created like a little, what's it called, assembly line, where we would stuff the envelopes, and then we put the little name tags on them and with the addresses to show where they would go. Showed perseverance and commitment, because it was 8 hours of stuffing envelopes. It was really a monotonous job. So that is my reflection for it. Hi, I am doing my CAS reflection for the 2012 scrapbooking that I did. This is where I kind of got together with my teammates and we made scrapbooks for the seniors that were graduating that year. They were scrapbooks that kind of encompassed the entire season, and they were supposed to be memories that they could cherish forever, so that they would remember the season that we had together. So I spent a lot of time doing this. We had a lot of pictures and a lot of artistic things that we did with it, like drawings and stuff like that. So when I first did this, I hoped to learn how to be a better artist, and first of all, just how to scrapbook, because I had never scrapbooked before, and like people scrapbook all the time, and I was just like, oh, you're just putting things into a little book, but it's really a lot more than that, because you have to have the right little quotes and the right things to say and the right pictures and stuff like that. So there's a lot more into it than one would think. So the difficulties that I encountered with this, it was hard to first of all, like my artistic ability. I'm not very artistic, and it was really out of like the world of things that I usually do. So it was hard for me to be creative, because I don't really have to do that very often. So that was a difficulty that I had to overcome, and I overcame that difficulty by kind of being with my teammates and my friends and the parents that were helping to make these scrapbooks, and they taught me things, and I kind of just like learned from what they did, because they were pretty good at making the scrapbooks. I felt like I was really successful with it, because the scrapbooks came out really, really nice, and the senior that I gave the scrapbook to, she really enjoyed it, and it really helped her to remember her season, like her senior season, and that was the whole point of it. So I felt like it was really successful, and I learned a lot from it because my artistic abilities increased. They got better, and I would say that what I learned about myself is that I am not very good at art, but when I really work hard at it, I can do really nice art. And then the way this benefited other people was the other senior, like the senior that I did the scrapbook for. It not only benefited me because I became a better artist, but it benefited her because it gave her a lasting memory that she could cherish forever. If I were to change this, I really wouldn't change anything, because I feel like I did the best that I could on the scrapbook, and the product was really nice, so that was nice. And then as far as the learner outcomes go, I believe that I increased awareness of personal strengths and areas for growth, because I had never really done much with art, and then finally when I did this, it helped to show me that I can be artistic, even though I didn't really think I could. I'm not very good at it, but it is something that I never thought that I could really do. I worked collaboratively with others, because we were all working together to make these scrapbooks something really special for the seniors. And I showed perseverance and commitment, because even though I wasn't very good with the art, I was able to continue and do it. It took a lot of time. And then I developed new skills, because I was able to develop the artistic skills that before doing these were non-existent. All right, thanks. This is my CAS reflection for the 2012 senior night preparations that I helped do. These were, we had to create posters, a bunch of decorations. We had to create, we had to decorate their houses, and we had to decorate their cars, and it was just a lot of artistic things that I myself am not used to doing. So what I hope to learn from this was how to like artistically create something. I had to learn how to make things look nice, and like create art, because I had never done anything like that before. And I kind of went into it thinking that it wasn't going to be very difficult, but it was, because I wasn't very good at it. So I felt like in the end I was really successful, because I had a lot of help from people that were artistic. Some of my teammates and some of the people in the group that helped do all the preparations for senior night, they really helped with ideas and with creating some of the artistic things that we had to do. difficulties were my lack of artistic ability, and I had to kind of go through that and figure out ways to make what I could do work. What I learned about myself is that I'm not very artistic, but that when I really work at it and like practice it, then I'm able to be pretty good at it. Not great, but all right. I learned that there are some very artistic people, and that it's really a gift to be artistic. As far as changing anything, I wouldn't change anything about what we did because it went really well. We were able to create a lot of really nice things that were able to make the senior night for those seniors that we were honoring really special. Everything came out great. It looked really nice, and I was really happy with my success as an artist. I got a lot better, and I was able to, again, make some really nice things. As far as learner outcomes go, I would say that I had an increase of awareness in personal strengths and areas for growth because I never really thought before that I could do any artistic stuff, and I never really tried it. But when I did, I wasn't very good, but I was still better than I expected to be. I worked collaboratively with others because when we were creating things, we had to like bounce ideas off of each other and figure out the best things that we could do. And people helped me to make the posters and the hoops that we had to make. I think I showed perseverance and commitment because even though I didn't really feel like I was doing a very good job, it really wasn't that bad, and I had to kind of persevere thinking that I kind of had to just keep going through it and doing what I could do. And I developed new skills because I learned a lot about art and how I needed to use my skills to make the best art possible. This is my CAS reflection for the Community Action Council Health Fair that I volunteered for in the spring of 2013. So this was a health fair that was for Community Action Council that they were putting on, and it was downtown in a really poor part of the neighborhood, like of the city of downtown Lexington. And basically what we did was we had a bunch of things that promoted health for the children there, and all kids were invited, and it was free for them to come, and all you had, they had food, free food, and then they had a bunch of volunteers come to run activities for the kids to participate in. And then there were also some things that educated the parents and about things that they could do and how they could get help from the Community Action Council to help make their children's lives better and their own lives better as well. But my job was to interact with the children and have fun games for them to do so that they felt really important that day. Personally, I was in charge of the activities for like sports, and so I created some basketball games and some soccer games. We did a bunch of obstacle courses and some really fun things like that. And there were about 50 kids that ended up showing up throughout the day that I was there for the 7 hours that we were there. And what I hope to learn a lot about kind of what it's like to help children in need, because I never really had to do that before. And I really enjoyed it because they were so grateful for everything that I was doing for them, and they really seemed to enjoy the time that they got to spend with other people. And the difficulties that I encountered were really just kind of getting them together and getting them to do one thing, because they all wanted to do different things. So it really helped with my leadership skills and showed me that I really do like working with children, and I was able to create a really fun environment for them to get to do something that they don't get to do very often. So again, what I learned about myself was really that I liked working with children, and that I could be a very good leader for younger people. And as far as people helping me, there were the people from the Community Action Council that were running the event as a whole, and they kind of gave me the materials that I needed to work with, and they would come around and check on us once in a while, but basically I was kind of on my own with the kids. This activity benefited other people because I was helping those families that do live in poverty, and helping their kids to have a really good time one afternoon, one day really. And if I were to change this, there's nothing that I would change, because I really felt like I touched those kids' lives, because they don't really get to do much very often, and this gave them a chance to have a lot of fun, and they really seemed to enjoy it. As far as the learner outcomes go, I would say that I increased in awareness of personal strengths, because working with the kids, I really enjoyed it, and I found that I was pretty good at it, and they all kind of seemed to enjoy what I was doing. I had to work collaboratively with others because I had to work with the kids. They were kind of just following what I was doing, but at the same time I had to figure out the things. If they didn't like it, we had to change what we were doing, and we kind of had to figure out something we could all do together. And then I showed perseverance, because even though sometimes the kids were kind of difficult to work with, once you found what they wanted to do and kind of what they could do, what they enjoyed, then it became a lot easier. So you just kind of had to go through it until you could figure out what they wanted. And then I would say that I developed new skills, because I had never really worked with people, with kids, and even with the parents that were there with their kids. I hadn't really taken the time to do that, and I found that I really liked it. So another learner outcome that goes along with the health fair is that I had to plan and initiate activities. I had to come up with a bunch of different activities to do with the kids, because that was like my job for the health fair, and I had to work with the kids and make sure that they were enjoying what we were doing, and yeah. This is my CAS reflection for the Operation Athlete physical fitness training. I did this with I've been doing this since 2012 until 2014. It's really intense, athletic training from a personal trainer, Ted Butler. What we do when we do them, we basically I go, and it specializes and specifies in speed and agility, strength, and it kind of even specializes in mental fitness, because you have to be able to push through, and no matter what kind of pain you're in from what you're doing. When I went, I hoped to learn really what my limits were and how far I could push myself until to make myself a better athlete and to make myself better fitness-wise and health-wise, in addition to the athletic aspect of it. I feel like I was really successful, and I am still being very successful with it, because I have become a much stronger athlete. I've gotten faster, and I've developed muscles that I didn't even really know I had, because you work with things that you don't usually work often. Difficulties are encountered in every single session, because you're pushing yourself to your limits. You're going as hard as you can for as long as you can, until basically you collapse. That's kind of what it is. And I learned a lot about myself from these sessions, because like I said, I learned kind of what my limits are, and I've learned how far I can push myself, and then I've learned that I can go farther than I think. You have this mental block in your mind where you think I can't go any farther, but then you have to push through that, and you realize that there's a whole nother level that you don't even know about. And one of the mottos is you get out of it what you put into it. So it's every session you put everything that you possibly can into what you're doing, and then you get more out of it than you ever thought you could. As far as anyone helping me, Ted Butler, obviously, he's the trainer, and he does so much for all of the athletes that work with him, because he just makes them such a better athlete and person, even because they're able to do more than they thought that they could ever do. And how this activity benefits other people, it benefits him and his business, but it benefits any athlete who trains with him, because everyone can get something out of what he does, no matter what level you're at. You can get something out of the training that you get there. And if I were to change anything, I mean, there's not really anything that I would change other than if I were to go more often than I do, which is kind of, I mean, that'd be the only thing that I would change, because I've gotten so much out of it that it's made me a much better athlete, and it's taught me a lot about how far I can push myself and what limits I have, and I can apply that to everything in my life. So then, as far as the learner outcomes go, I had increased awareness of my personal strengths and areas for growth, because every time that you go, you realize how far you can push yourself, and then how much more you can do, even past what you think you can. I learned the different areas of my body that I can make better, like that I can strengthen through the training that I was doing. I had to show perseverance and commitment, because obviously, like, you have to go to every session that you have, and then you have to persevere through whatever pain you're going through when you're having that session. And then I've developed new skills, because I've learned how to do things that I would never have even thought of doing before I went through the training, and I've made myself a much better athlete and made myself much healthier. This is my CAS reflection for the mural painting that I volunteered for in downtown Lexington, Kentucky in the summer of 2013. It's my senior summer. So what I did, I went downtown. There was a local artist who decided, or like, obviously she got permission, and she was asked to paint a mural on one of the buildings downtown, because they were trying to like beautify downtown, so they asked her to paint a mural. And so she painted it, but she put an ad in the paper for people who wanted to volunteer to come and paint it. Like the mural that she had already painted, she wanted it to be colored in. So I went and volunteered, and I spent 5 hours painting this. And really what I hoped to learn, I wanted to learn a lot about what the mural, like how you just go about painting a mural downtown, because I mean, you can't just do that. And then I also wanted to learn more about art and kind of like why she painted what she painted. I felt like I was really successful, because she gave us a whole background as to why she became an artist and why she painted the mural that she painted downtown, and then her process of becoming a known artist well enough to where she was able to paint it on a building downtown. So I also I wanted to learn about my artistic abilities, because even though I was just like painting in the lines of what she had already drawn, I wanted to learn about like if I actually enjoyed it, like if I enjoyed painting the mural itself. And the difficulties that I encountered were like my artistic ability. I wasn't as good as she was, so there were some things that I had that were more difficult to paint, like smaller sections, and some that had, like, she gave us our own artistic license to put some stuff in the mural. And so she would give us a small section and say, I want you to put your own personality into this. And so I kind of had to figure out what I would want to be remembered for in that, like when people would walk by and see that and be like, oh, that's cool. So I kind of had to use my own creativity and my own artistic license, which I never really had to do before. And that kind of taught me a lot about myself as an artist. And it taught me that I really did like doing the art. It might not be one of my favorite things to do, but it was something that I would definitely want to look more into to see how much I really do enjoy it. The people that helped me was really that artist. She kind of showed me what to do, and I had never really taken the time to think about art in the way that she does, and that was really interesting to me. This activity benefited our entire town, because the building was just a plain white, really an ugly building, and by putting this mural on it, it was something for people to look at, and it really made the area of downtown look a lot more beautiful. So that was nice. And if I were to change anything, there really wasn't anything that I would change, because it was something that I had never done before, and I really enjoyed it, and I liked the freedom of being an artist and what you can do with your own skills. As far as the learner outcomes go, I would say that I increased an awareness of my personal strengths, because I had never done art that way before. I had kind of just, colored pictures or drawn stick figures, but I actually had to add to a mural that had been painted downtown, and it was something that I had never thought of before, and I really enjoyed it, and then kind of wanted to pursue that a little bit more. I worked collaboratively with others because there were many other volunteers that came to help, and it was something that you kind of had to work together to make a beautiful thing. And I developed new skills because I had never, like I said, I had never done art before, and I discovered what I can do when I try the art, and I discovered my own creative mind and my artistic license for art. Another learner outcome that came from painting the mural downtown had to do with undertaking new challenges, because I had never really painted something that was so beautiful and something that was so important before. I had done like my own little paintings, but that was nothing compared to the people that would see this painting. So that was a new challenge that I undertook, and I really enjoyed it. I learned a lot from it because it was something that taught me about like a new activity that I'd never really thought of before, and I really enjoyed it. Then I also had to consider the ethical implications of my actions, because with painting this mural, this was her job, was like, she is an artist, and I could very easily have just messed up her entire mural, and that would not have been a good thing. And so I had to consider what was right and wrong, so I had to do my best job to make the mural that she was painting for her job, for money, for her, so that it would look nice, and that was something that I had to consciously make an effort to do. This is my CAS reflection for the 2013 initiation costume design. We had to create about 12 designs for costumes that we wanted to give to our oncoming varsity soccer players. This was a lot of work because you have to like create costumes, and if you're not very creative, this is really difficult. We hoped that we would be able to create new ideas that hadn't been done before from our other like our previous seniors, and I also hoped that I would learn a lot more about how fashion actually works, because there are so many people that just like take for granted the things that fashion designers do, because it's seen as like a lower job because it's just designing fashion, but it really is a lot harder than it looks. I thought that I was pretty successful in it because we created 12 really nice costumes that did exactly what we wanted them to do, and it was like what I learned about myself was that since it was a new type of creativity, it wasn't just art, which is always new, but it was fashion, which I never really thought about because I just buy my clothes. I never really thought about making my clothes, and so we kind of made a few like articles that we couldn't get at other places. So that was definitely a new experience because it's really difficult to make clothing, and I hadn't really appreciated that fact until we created these costumes. And not only like making the costumes, but putting different pieces together to create one outfit it's actually pretty difficult. So I learned a lot about myself with this because I learned that I can actually make an outfit. I can create clothing, like I can make it myself, and I had never done that before we did this initiation costume stuff. And the people that helped me, it was the rest of my fellow seniors, and our parents kind of helped us out a little bit. And I had to interact with not only like the people that I was making the clothing and like putting the costumes together with, but with the other girls that we had to put in the costumes. This activity benefited our team specifically because it brought us closer together, because once we put on the costumes and stuff, we kind of all hang out and just do stuff together, and it's a really good team bonding activity. And if I were to change this, I probably wouldn't, because we came out with some really good costume designs that
were way better than we expected them to come out as, and the girls looked wonderful. They looked perfect. So as far as the learner outcomes go, I would say that I increased an awareness of personal strengths because when I tried this new designing fashion, I had never really thought about it before, and I never really created an outfit other than what I saw like in the stores and stuff. So that was something new, and I found out that I could do that. And then I worked collaboratively with others because I had to. We all had to like mesh our ideas together in order to form the 12 costumes that we had to create, and then we had to make them together, which is having 7 girls together. That's not easy. And then I showed perseverance because it was really difficult to come up with ideas, and we just kind of had to keep thinking about all the different things, even though we kind of thought we'd run out of ideas. And then I developed the new skill of designing fashion. So, thanks.
This is my CAS reflection for the 2013 Tates Creek High School preseason. The preseason again it's where you have kick-arounds and you basically are getting to know your team and getting to know your teammates' strengths and weaknesses, and you are learning about how you yourself can contribute to a team. So we hoped that during this preseason, that we would be able to collaborate as a team and really get a good start for the season, because preseason is really important to how the rest of your season goes. You have to establish expectations and goals, and we go to team bonding camps and other camps like soccer camps, so that we can all get to know each other and really learn about each other. I would say that our preseason was very successful. I myself was one of the leaders. I was a senior this season, and we have to lead the practices, and we have to basically set the ground rules for the younger kids, because they look up to us and they follow what we do. So we have to create a type of like environment where they can excel. So I felt that I was really successful with that. I felt that I set good examples, and that we as a team grew during our preseason, and it really set us up for a good rest of the season. The difficulties that we encountered, one of the major things was that in our 2012 season, when I was a junior, we had won state, which was a huge accomplishment, and it's really difficult to do. So we didn't want the rest of the team to come in with the mentality that if we deserved it, that because we had won it the season before, that we were going to win it again. So our seniors, we all had to kind of come together and figure out how to convey to them that it was not going to be easy, and that we still had to work extremely hard to get to where we wanted to be that season. There's always the difficulties of having to deal with personality differences and kind of get people to know each other. So that's something that we had to go through. I learned about myself that I feel like I'm a pretty good leader, and that I can be like a good organization type of person. I can lead things, and I learned a lot about my abilities as a soccer player as well, because being a senior, you kind of lead the team, so you have to kind of come into it and be the best that you can be. And now this season, I came in with an injury that I had to kind of go through the entire season. So preseason, I was basically trying to just lead without playing, because I had to do a bunch of rehab and other types of training with the team. So that was difficult, but it was something that you kind of just have to go through as a soccer player sometimes. And so I learned that I was able to lead by example rather than just by playing soccer, and that I could communicate well as a leader off the field as well. As far as how this activity benefits other people, we're just kind of like something that people can look up to in the community and as a school. So we really wanted to set that standard for this season, so that people could continue to look up to us, because after winning state, people were always watching us, and we had to kind of live up to that. So then if I were to change this, I don't really think there's much that I would change other than just not being injured. That would be nice, but it was a really successful preseason. So as far as our learner outcomes go, I think that I increased awareness of my personal strengths as a leader because I realized what I could do. Even though I wasn't playing with everyone, I was still training and doing other activities that were to help me get better, and I was able to be a good leader. We had to work collaboratively together because we're a team, and in order to excel as a team, we had to work together. We had to show perseverance. I had to, because of my injury, I had to continue to go through everything, even though I wasn't playing. So I had to still have that commitment to be everywhere and to do my own training on my own. So yeah, that is my season. This is my CAS reflection for the 2013 mid-season at Tates Creek High School soccer. So this is the part of the season where you play all your regular season games. You play all the teams from your city and then around your city and then around the state. So during this season, I was injured for the entire season. I was injured in postseason and preseason and mid-season, but I was doing a lot of training outside of practice, like fitness training and stuff like that. So I really hoped that during the season that my injury would go away, but it never really did. So that kind of sucked, but you just kind of got to go through it. And then we hoped that we would be able to go far into the season and to do well. We wanted to obviously win as many games as possible, but we knew that it was going to be difficult because there were a few injuries, not only my own, but we had other injuries that we had to go through. And they were all positions of leadership. So people had to step up, and people did, which was great. But the ones that were injured, we had to be leaders off the field. So we had to basically kind of act like coaches, but not overstep the bounds of being a coach. So personally, I had to do a lot of leadership off of the field since I couldn't be there during practices. Although I was at the practices, I wasn't participating in what they were doing. So I kind of had to keep my leadership role off the field. But that was one of my major difficulties, was trying to figure out how to balance the two. So it was more of just being supportive off the field and having to keep my own mental state okay for when I was able to play. Because I did get to play in some of the more important games. Because it was something that I could play once in a while, but it would continue to get worse if I continued playing. So I had to kind of balance the not playing and then playing in the next game and then not playing and not practicing. So I learned a lot about myself as a person because I had to alter my mental state in order to accompany for the injury and for having to still be there as a teammate. And I think I did a pretty good job with that, but it was difficult. So within the team themselves, they had to also cope with not having a senior out there and not having other players that were injured out there. And I think that they, as a team, did that very well too. So I learned a lot about my team and how strong they were, and the things that they could overcome as well as what I learned about myself. I developed new abilities, new ways of training that I had never thought of before, because I had to account for the injury. And then my attitude had to change because I was no longer really on the field. So my attitude had to become more of a teammate, helping my teammates, supportive-wise rather than playing with my teammates. I had to interact with the team that way as an onlooker. And I had a lot of help and support from my team as well as I was supporting them, and from my coaches and from the school. This activity, like all of our other high school soccer activities, it really benefits the because they have a team that they can believe in and that they can come and support, and that really does a lot for the community. If I were to change our season, I mean, all I would really do is not be injured, but that can't happen. So I think that they did. I think the team did an amazing job with the players that we had, because we had to bring up a lot of younger players because we had so many older players that were injured. So we had to teach younger players how to play at the level that varsity plays at, and they did a wonderful job with that. So that was really nice. And as far as the learner outcomes go, I say that I increased an awareness of personal strength because I had to increase my leadership off the field rather than being on the field, and that was a really big gain for me, I believe, because it helped me grow as a person and as a player. I had to work collaboratively with others because not only my team this time, but with athletic trainers and people who were trying to help me to recover. And then as a team, we had to work together in the games that I could play in. We had to work together playing soccer, as every team does. I had to show perseverance because even though I wasn't playing, I was at every game and every practice. They're supporting them, and I had to persevere through the injury to where I could play to the best of my abilities during the games that I was able to play in. And I would say that I did develop new skills because not only did I have to recover, but my new skill was being a teammate off the field, and that really was enhanced with my injury. So that was the mid-season. This is my reflection for the 2013 Tates Creek High School soccer postseason. This was a very different postseason from our 2012 season. First of all, personally, I was still injured from my injury from the rest of the season. It made it difficult because I hadn't played as much as I wanted to that season, so I was kind of going into postseason a little rusty. And the postseason, it's the most important games of the entire season because this is where if you lose, you're out. You can't go any further. And unfortunately, this season we didn't go as far as we wanted to. We made it to the semifinals and we lost in the semifinals, which was very disappointing. But we played well and our team did everything that we could, and we worked with what we had. And I couldn't be prouder of our team, but I would have liked to win, but that can't be changed. So at the beginning of postseason, what I hope to learn how to kind of persevere through an injury and be able to play as much as possible because, again, these were the last games of my high school career and I didn't want to miss those. I wanted to be a leader as best as I could. Even though I hadn't been on the field all season, I knew that I needed to come in, playing on the field, and being a leader there as well as off the field. I would say that I was successful with that because, again, coming in a little rusty, it was difficult, but it went better than I expected it to. Coming in to the difficulties that we had to encounter were obviously having myself being injured. My position was kind of a big role, and coming in and out of that was difficult. I had to learn how to be a leader. That ability was improved because, like I said, I had been rusty and I couldn't kind of pull from the rest of the season. So I had to go through it as though I had been there the whole season and been playing the whole season. As far as anyone helping me, I had all of my coaches and all of my teammates, and we really had to persevere through the end of the season because it was a totally different postseason than we had. We had younger players playing this time, and it was a lot different. So we had to figure out ways to make that work. This activity benefited a lot of people because, again, it was something that the community could look forward to watching us play, and that our school could look forward to, and then all of our friends and families. If I were to change this postseason, I would say I would have wanted to win. That would have been nice, but we were still really proud of our team because of all of the things that we had to go through, and we made it as far as we did. I would change being injured because that was a big problem for myself, and I would have wanted to be my best during postseason, which I wasn't able to be. As far as winter outcomes go, I would say that I had an increased awareness of personal strengths and areas for growth because I had to become a leader back on the field, coming from not playing very much during the regular and preseason. So I had to go through that change rapidly. And again, working under pressure, that was something that we all had to work with. And playing at the end of the season with the games where if you lose, you're out, that's a big thing. Showing perseverance and commitment. Postseason is a lot of traveling, and it's a lot of time, and you're there every other day, and then you're playing games on the other days for postseason. So, and then the perseverance of having to play through the injury, even though it was painful, it was something that you kind of have to go through if you want to play. And I would say that's all. This is my CAS reflection for my volunteer hours at the Mary Queen Fall Festival in the fall of 2013. When I went to this fall festival, it's held at a church, and it's basically just like a little carnival, but you have volunteers to run like the food booths and all of the different games and all the different things that they have at this event. So I volunteered for one of the carnival booths, and I stayed there, and I did a couple of different booths throughout the 6 hours that I was volunteering there. What I hoped to learn when I went there was really, I just wanted to see what the Fall Festival was about, because I had never actually been before, so when I volunteered, I wanted to see what it was like, and I wanted to see all the different things that happen at the Fall Festival. And I knew that it was basically my job was going to be working with kids, so I kind of wanted to see how the kids would interact with me and what I was doing. I feel like I was really successful because I learned a lot about the church itself, and I learned a lot about how kids react to me in that kind of a leader role in the position of at the carnival booth that I was at. Difficulties that I encountered were having to keep the kids in line and not cutting each other and cheating in the game, because kids are very prone to doing that. So that was definitely difficult. But when I learned about myself was that I was able to control the kids eventually, and that I liked working with them, because once they kind of got past that, it's a fun carnival thing, they were really sweet, and they seemed to really like me when I was interacting with them. I learned a lot about other people too, because there were so many people that volunteered at this, and I really didn't expect there to be that many, but everyone seemed to want to pitch in to help out so that the kids would have a really good time, and then even the people who didn't volunteer would have a good time, all of the parents and the members of the church. I would say that the abilities that I really saw in myself was interacting with kids, and how much I really enjoyed it. I see myself working with kids in the future, so I think that this is something that helped me to solidify that choice. People that helped me, there were the other people that worked in the booth with me. There were a couple people that had been there before, so they kind of wanted to work with me so that I knew what I was doing, and they kind of taught me the ropes of the games that I was working at. And this activity benefited not only the church, because they raise a lot of money at this event, because all the money goes towards the church and the things that they do for people around the community. And it benefited the kids that went, because they would not have enjoyed it if they didn't have all the games, because it would have just been a little fundraiser for the church, and if they didn't have the games, they wouldn't have enjoyed themselves. If I were to change anything,
there's not really anything that I would change because I felt like I ran the booths really well and that the fundraiser was a big success. I would say that my learner outcomes, I increased my awareness of my personal strengths because I really wanted to see how I would react to the kids, and it went really well, and I learned a lot about myself and how I like interacting with children. And like I said, that's something that I want to do in my future, so that was something that I increased awareness of. I worked collaboratively with others because I had to work with the other members of the church, and I had to work with the people that were working in my booth, and then of course the children that were coming to the booth. I had to show perseverance because I was there for 6 hours, and I had to show the commitment because it wasn't something that I had to be at, so it was a commitment that I made, even though it wasn't like I had to be there for anything. So yeah, that was my experience. This is my CAS reflection for the 2013 Ultimate Frisbee Intramurals season at Tates Creek High School. So I was on an Ultimate Frisbee team with a bunch of my friends, and Ultimate Frisbee, it's a team sport. It's where we play with Frisbee, and it's kind of like a mixture between football and soccer. It's kind of like a lot of different things mixed together, but with a Frisbee. And I played this at Tates Creek High School. When I went into this, I hoped to learn about Ultimate Frisbee because I had never played before, and I didn't know how to play, and I didn't know any of the rules. I didn't know any of the techniques for it. So I really hoped to go in and just kind of learn the sport. And I felt like I was really successful because in the end, my team actually won. We won the Ultimate Frisbee Championship, which was really exciting. But it was like, myself, I wasn't very good at throwing, so like my area was catching. That's what I was supposed to do. And so one of the difficulties that I encountered was again with the throwing. And so whenever I would have to throw it, it was kind of like everyone held their breath and when I threw it. And then finally, I got a lot better at it, and with practice with my team, and finally I was able to throw it. I was actually able to throw it pretty well. And so what I learned about myself was that I'm more than a soccer player. I can do other sports other than just soccer, which is usually what I do. And it was interesting to kind of play a sport that wasn't as competitive, because with soccer, it's like that's your life, that's what you do, and you can't just fool around. Whereas with Ultimate Frisbee, I was able to play a sport and not be so serious about it, which was really different for me. And I learned that I like that a lot. It's fun to do something that's not as competitive. As far as people helping me, I would say that my teammates really did a lot because they had all played before, and so they would have to like teach me the rules and how to play and all the basics. And this activity benefited all of the teams that played because like you play against each other and you get to meet new people that you wouldn't normally know because they're not an IB, so it was definitely different. As far as like changing it, I wouldn't really change anything because there was nothing that really would have needed to be changed. We had a lot of fun, and it was just something different that taught me a lot about the fact that you don't have to be so competitive with sports. As far as learner outcomes go, I would say that I increased awareness of personal strengths and areas for growth because this was a completely new sport for me. It was a completely new idea of what a sport was. And I learned that I enjoy just playing sports without having to be competitive about it. And I learned that I'm actually pretty okay at Frisbee, and it was a lot of fun, so that was definitely interesting. I had to work collaboratively with others because Ultimate Frisbee is a team sport, and you have to work off of your teammates, and you have to help your teammates, and that there's a lot of that in Ultimate Frisbee. I had to show perseverance and commitment because even though I wasn't very good, I had to continue to practice and play to get better. And then as far as my commitment to it, we had to be there every Sunday, and then occasionally we would have some practices, and so it was fun. And then I developed new skills because, again, I had never played Frisbee before, and so I learned how to throw it, I learned how to catch it, and I learned all the rules of Frisbee, so it was a really good experience for me. Okay, so this is my CAS reflection for my 2013 Paper Plate Award creation. As a senior on the soccer team, we all kind of get together and we create some really cute ideas for our fellow teammates on the varsity team, and we create these things called Paper Plate Awards, and this is kind of like one of the ones, and they're cute. They're not really supposed to be very serious, but it is serious how much work and artistic ability goes along with this, because if you can't draw or you can't write very neatly, you cannot do these. And so like we first of all having to come up with the ideas, like we have to think about that person and think about all of the things that we know about them, and then find something that other people would find like cute. And so when we create those, that's like the first creative step in it, and then we have to make them. So you have to like take these little, first of all you like draw it out, and then you take the little pin thingies, they're like glitter pins, glue pins, and then you have to trace it. And first of all, having to create the art with these pins is one of the most difficult things I have ever done, because it takes so much, like it takes a steady hand and it takes artistic ability to be able to draw with these glitter pins. And so after like going into it, we didn't really think that they were going to come out very well. We just kind of wanted to get them done, but we hoped that they would come out better than we expected. And I hope to be able to create some really like nice art in comparison to what I had seen years before when they just kind of threw them together. So we took a lot of time in doing them, and I feel like we were really successful because they were like the little pictures that we drew, they actually looked like what they were supposed to look like, and we had to go through a lot of different trials to make them actually come out the way we wanted them to, but eventually we got them the way we wanted. And the difficulties were our artistic abilities that weren't very high, and so when we were doing them, we kind of sat there and had to do a few run-throughs, and finally we would get to what we wanted. And then about myself, I learned that when I really work hard with art, I can come up with some nice stuff, and it helped me, like made me want to go into more art, because I had a lot of fun with the art that I did, so I started to do some more art things. And like the abilities and the attitudes, and you kind of have to, like, when you're not very good at something, it taught me that you have to kind of just keep your attitude up and have to keep going through it so that you can actually achieve what you want to, because eventually with a lot of hard work you can. And it benefited our team again, because not only did we get better at art ourselves, but like we taught, like our team got closer together, because these are like a really good way to team bond, so it was really good team bonding. And if I were to change it, I'd probably take some art classes beforehand, but you know, once you work hard enough, it gets to what you want it to be. And then as far as the learner outcomes, I increased my awareness of personal strengths, because I finally started doing some more stuff with art, and found out that I really wasn't as bad at it as I thought I was. And I learned that I really like doing art. And then I worked collaboratively with others, because I had to work with my other my fellow seniors to come up with the ideas for one, and then to bring them to fruition with the plates. And then I developed the new skill of having to create a very good-looking paper plate award. This is my reflection for my boxing sessions in the months of January and February in 2014. These boxing sessions, basically you go and you learn boxing form, and it's basically a fitness class, because you also do abs and legs and arms, and you kind of you're learning how to defend yourself while doing fitness. I did it at the Title Boxing Club in Lexington, Kentucky. When I went into these sessions, I hoped to learn how to defend myself, because I wanted to be able to defend myself, and I wanted to learn how to achieve a new level of fitness in a different way.
because all I had really ever done was through soccer training, like running and stuff like that, but this is a new way to do fitness through boxing. So I felt like I was really successful because I learned how to box, and I learned all the different types of punches and kicks that you can do in boxing, and I learned how to do fitness in a new way. I also, when I was doing this, I had an injury, so I had to learn how to adapt the workouts that I was being told to do to where I only had to use one leg. That was one of the difficulties that I had to go through, and I felt like I successfully accomplished my goal of doing the workout in a way that I could. I learned a lot of new abilities through boxing because obviously I never knew how to box before I went to these classes, and I learned how to defend myself through boxing that way. I had to learn how to adapt workouts to an injury, and that's something that I'll be able to carry with me through the rest of my life. People that helped me, I had a couple of friends that went with me, and Stella Adams really helped me out a lot. And then the trainers at Title Boxing went through a lot of different steps to teach us new things, and the activity benefited not only myself, but it benefited Title Boxing through getting more business and then kind of spreading it through word of mouth, because it's a really good way for people to gain fitness and learn how to defend themselves. And if I were to change this, I don't think I would really change anything about it because it was really beneficial to me. Learner outcomes. I had an increased awareness of personal strengths because I learned a new skill, and I learned that I could box and how to do it. And I showed perseverance and commitment. I had to go to all the sessions and continuously box and work out. And then I developed new skills through learning a new skill through boxing. And that is all.
This is my CAS reflection for the 2013 and the 2014 Dance Gold that I participated in. Dance Gold is basically, it's a fundraiser for St. Jude Children's Hospital for cancer. And it's basically what you do is you fundraise money, and then by fundraising money, you're allowed to come to Dance Gold, which is where you come and you stand for 10 hours. And you do a dance every hour on the hour that is provided by the Dance Blue organization, and we learn the dance, and then we do it every hour on the hour. What I hoped to learn when I came into this was exactly what I was fundraising for and how big of a deal it really was, because I mean I knew it was important, but coming into it I didn't know how important it was. And during Dance Gold, they always have a representative come in from St. Jude's Hospital, and they kind of educate everyone who's there about what they raise money for, and what it's going to go towards, and how it's going to help. So I feel that I was successful in learning what I wanted to learn, because that person came in and she talked a lot about what was going on and why we were doing it, and it really is extremely important. So difficulties were obvious. I had to stand for 10 hours, and that's really difficult. You can't sit. So after about the 5th or 6th hour, you get to where your legs feel like jelly, and you don't want to stand anymore. But you realize that that's really nothing in comparison to what people have to go through. Like children have to go through who have cancer. They don't have all of the opportunities that we have, like that I myself have. To do things, so you kind of push through it, and it's really not that big of a deal. And then what I learned about myself, really I learned that I could fundraise for something that I cared about, and that I could stand for 10 hours. It's basically just the act of being able to, when you believe in something and when you really want to help a cause. If I learned that I can do what I need to do for it, which involved the standing and stuff. What people helped me with, it was basically people who donated money to the cause that I fundraised for. They didn't have to give me any money, but they realized the importance of what I was doing and they decided to help me out. And then this activity benefited not only like the people in Kentucky and the Dance Gold organization that gives all the money to the St. Jude's Hospital, but it benefits all of the kids around the world. It has actual global importance because there are so many people that die of cancer every day, and so many of those are children. And by doing this Dance Gold, you're able to do a small part in helping to fund the research that will one day save thousands of lives. And if there is the only thing that I would change if I were to change anything, it would be to raise more money, because I mean, there's no reason why you couldn't raise more money. And as far as the learner outcomes go, I had to work collaboratively with others because we basically just we were all here for 10 hours standing, and you have to support each other and say, I can get through this. And then in collaboration with everyone who raised money for the cause, I had to show perseverance and commitment, because not only did I have to raise money, but I had to stand for 10 hours, and you have to persevere through the pain that you feel while you're just sitting around here. So, all right, thank you.